And we will now proceed to a demo by my colleagues. Thank you. The demo of our solution of the burning physics. As you can see on the screen, we have a material in the center, and at the top left hand corner we have information such as basic information, followed by the controls, followed by the material which we are using, and the rendering speed of the solution. I will now show you the object as we rotate it around in 3 dimensions. This object is made up of the particles which we have discussed earlier. A close-up will show the individual particles. Because our project is based on particle systems, we are able to incorporate these particles into any shape and size. So as an example, we will show you a few samples of some primitive shapes that we have actually incorporated. Here is a L-shaped sheet. This is a cube, a thick sheet, double layers, a hollow cube, a vertical sheet. Of course, there are many more that we can incorporate, but for the purpose of presentation, we just show a few shapes. We can also select various different materials. For example, here we see paper. We can of course have hydrogen as well, metal, wood, and many more. We have also incorporated 2 forms of soft body effects into our solution. First, we have the entire plane shifting. For example, like a finger pushing through the material. Using a paper as a material and a thin sheet, we will now demonstrate how the paper burns. So we will choose 2 points. The green objects are the flame particles. Once they collide with the paper, it provides a heat exchange on the paper particles and the fire will start to spread. Every particle is working on its own. It just passes the information to the next neighbor. The order is randomized to create a fire effect. As the particle loses its life, it disintegrates and forms into ash or drops off. Here we see the wind effect. In an upward direction, and the wind strength also determines how fast the fire is spread, and this is in the down direction, and because gravity also plays a part, all the ashes will just drop. Using an L-shaped paper, we will now demonstrate how fire behaves. As you can see, the fire is spreading faster in the vertical direction compared to the horizontal. Because of the nature of fire itself, heat travels in the upward direction, hence the fire is spreading faster in the upward direction, unless influenced by external factors such as a wind in the fire in the X direction. Here we see the fire is spreading faster in the X direction. Now to make the effects even more real, we also add curling effects onto the paper. As you can see, the paper is crumpling. And because of this, when it burns, it will behave differently as well. This gives a sense of realism of the objects in the game. Using two sheets of paper, we will now show the interaction between two different objects. As the bottom paper is burning, it spreads the fire to the top object. Which makes it realistic in a game, because as one object is burning, it spreads the fire to the next object and not just to the next particle. Here we see the heat is traveling upwards from the bottom sheet to the upper sheet, whereas from the upper sheet it does not spread to the lower sheet. We will now demonstrate another external factor which will affect the burning. As you can see, the portion on the right hardly burns or burns very slowly because of the moisture content that it contains, as compared to a dry material on the left. This further enhances the realism during gameplay, where different material and different external factors affect how the material burns. Different materials not only burn differently but also react differently in terms of soft body physics. Here we have a metal, and upon being struck by an object, it deforms, the red being the stretch limit and green being still within the limits. Here we have also incorporated the use of a Wii remote to manipulate things such as wind direction, wind strength. As you can see, the wind is blowing in the left direction. Now it's blowing in the right direction. In the forward direction, simply with a flick of a Wii remote.